What's up out there? David Cravens, the Relentless Hope Podcast, coming at you from this sunny trailer park down here at the 239 Live Studios. Boy, do I feel at home.
The only thing you're missing is one of the beach chairs.
Can you please wait till I introduce you, beautiful?
No, I do what I want.
She does what she wants on the Relentless Hope Podcast. To my right, I got my beautiful Savage Trailer Queen. What are you doing? Yes, she's there. Jahnna Cravens.
Love the trailer park.
How
That legit looks like Cindy and Larry's little blue one.
looks like the trailer
so
park
cute.
my parents used to live in. Makes me feel at home here on the Relentless Hope
Makes me
Podcast.
feel comfy.
I feel like I might let out some stuff today. No, I'm joking. What's up, D Money?
Yeah.
Give D Money a shout. If you have noticed anything different about us today, you can see who we are. Because D Money is drinking clean cause to support a good cause,
Oh, Jesus.
not the daggone outlaw beers that Tim drinks when he's running this place. Lord have mercy, what's going on around here? After hour parties, we got drunk dogs running around here. We don't know what's going on in this place. I leave for 2 weeks and this is what happens.
You come back and your breasts are on the picture out there.
I came back. I didn't make the Tupac picture, but there's a real nice big one painted of me out there. D Money's losing it over there. You know D Money
my
missed us
gosh.
down here. We ain't seen her for a little bit.
How could you not?
No, I'm joking. You know we're at the 239 Live Studio, the only place Relentless Hope calls home. Number one in Southwest Florida. Your story starts here. You know I got to give everybody a hard time, you know. Tim retires from the police force. Now he's a daggone
Gangsta.
mogul. I heard he's getting a teardrop tattooed on his eye, getting a big, only God can judge me. I don't know what's going on around here.
He's wearing all black. What's going on?
I know he's out there. He's getting a little crazy. I'm just playing.
I had to do intervention.
Yeah, I'm telling you, buddy, all these parties going on. I might have to daggone sober group coming to the after hours party. That kind of sense does that make? That's like taking a bunch of Twinkies to the
Sounds
fat
like somebody
camp.
else's sober house I heard about.
All right,
Real
we're in
or
rare
some not?
form. We haven't filmed for a couple days. All right, we love all of you. No animals were hurt making this podcast. I come down here. Bob's got a daggone golfing shirt on. He won't even talk to me anymore. I'm like, what's going on,
It's too
buddy?
bougie for
He's
you
living
now.
in Naples now.
Sorry,
No.
my guy.
Thanks to D Money's got our trailer park looking right. My beautiful wife over here rocking that Relentless Hope Redeemed Outlaw shirt.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby, that's an original. You can get it at relentlesshopemusic.com. Links for merch below. All that is getting, I know I say this all the time, it's getting redone. We're in the talks with some places about pushing our merch and doing stuff.
You probably need to talk a little faster. You get this going.
Yeah, we need to go. Can you hear her good on there, D? Is Jahnna good?
I'm good.
Talk, baby. Yeah, there you
Here I
go.
am. I
Yep.
pulled the mic closer.
All right, so praise God.
Ooh, what a day already.
We're going to get started. Yeah, we had
Chasing dogs.
yeah, this morning. Anytime you're going to go do something positive or for God, Jesus, who we call our Lord and Savior, is it always gets crazy. Like the other day we were going to come and film. We wasn't feeling good because we had a weekend where we moved a pool table that used to belong to Sylvester Stallone from Florida
Alabama.
to Alabama, drove up there, carried it up. Jahnna, I, Chris, and Max, and heaviest pool table slate I've ever moved. Turned out
Heavier
beautiful.
than that one we did?
Excuse me. It was very heavy. It was heavy. But and it was old and antique, and it
Oh,
belonged
you
to
gotta be
Sylvester
careful.
Stallone. It was over 100 years old, so there was a lot of
Traveled
factors.
hella far with it.
Yeah, we went far. Anyway, it was awesome, but we got back. We were tired because it was like a trip straight there, straight back working, and then kind of got a little bug. So we didn't get to make it the other day, and
Happens.
so we're down. Then we got up this morning, and we went over to be on Speak to the Mountain with Rachel
Shout
and
out
Nick.
to
Shout out to
Rachel and
Speak
Nick
to the Mountain,
Ayler.
Rachel and Nick Ayler, to do some stuff that they're doing. We were
Mhm.
honored to be a new thing that they're starting. So while I'm getting ready and I'm carrying, as Tim calls, my costumes to the truck or the SUV, I've got a dog who's defiant. And one thing my granddaddy Arlen couldn't stand was a defiant dog, buddy.
She came right to me when I called her.
After she got cheese and went out there and coaxed her in.
She didn't even know I had
Long
cheese.
story short, the dog took off running outside. I said, she looked at me and then took off running. Jahnna got her in. So we're running late.
Mhm.
Then we get a phone call, a pretty serious phone call while we're getting ready to shoot
Yeah.
before we went in. And then we went in and had a great time. And then we finished that and made it down here to the 239. So
Here we are.
here we are. So anytime, if you're out there and you're trying to do something good and it
Mhm.
feels like waves are crashing and everything's coming against you, that means you're probably doing the right thing.
Right.
You know, I had a preacher tell me one time, I go, how do I know, should I give this or not? They're like, if you're thinking you shouldn't, then you probably should,
Mm.
you know? And I was like,
Mhm.
I don't know if I agree with that, buddy, because I'm hungry.
Well, I've always
But
feel like anytime it's a big struggle to go do something that we know we're supposed to do or we have on the schedule, it usually turns out to be something really good.
yeah,
You know?
always does.
Yeah.
Because,
Just getting through that
yeah,
moment.
just getting through. And also, a lot of times we blame the devil. Sometimes it's God seeing we're going to be faithful with what he's called us to do.
Yeah.
And so we are. So a lot of fun things going on, a lot of big things coming up. Music video is going to be
Mhm.
getting filmed in Miami, which will be cool.
I'm excited.
We're going to be taking another trip back out to Texas to be on the Recovery Vow podcast. Shout out the Recovery
Eric.
Vow, Eric Kennedy over there. A link to his book below. Check it out. Just an awesome guy. So we're getting to film at the
Mhm.
studio in Texas.
It's like a dream come
Yeah, it
true.
was cool, man. Really appreciate him. We're gonna get him on ours too. Reached out, awesome guy. Him and his wife are awesome. You heard us talk about him before, but anyway, so a lot of big things going on. But gets us in today. Now, baby, you know me well. A lot of people don't. I'm enthralled by outlaw stuff,
Yeah.
and
think
not
we
like
both are.
not like the outlaws of like everybody thinks they're tough outlaws, but like like I'm a kid who grew up on like Smokey and the Bandit. He was an
Mhm.
outlaw, you know, he's running
Mhm.
from the police. The Duke Boys, the
Yes.
Outlaws. I think we all got a little Duke Boys in us in my world.
I think there's a little bit of attraction to that.
Yeah, there
you
is.
know?
And then, you know, it's like the good, they're not
Mhm.
bad guys, but they're just doing what they
Yeah,
got to do.
like
And
Robin Hood.
outlaw, Robin Hood was an outlaw too.
Yeah.
And then Jesse James
Yeah.
but one of our outlaw couples that we always, my sister called us
Yes.
when we were crazy,
Yeah.
but now she calls us like that for good, like
Yeah.
is Bonnie and Clyde.
Yeah. I'll take that.
Yeah, my sister calls Jahnna and I Bonnie and Clyde, and they used to call us Bonnie and Clyde for other reasons, but because we were really not robbing banks, but doing other stuff.
No.
But my sister calls us like Bonnie and Clyde of good because we you know we're down for each other, we're ride, and you know at the very end when they got shot and killed, Bonnie and Clyde, they were holding hands like they were in.
Mhm.
But which brought me then I said let's talk about the outlaw marriage,
Okay.
and because our marriage is kind of an outlaw marriage. It's been an outlaw
For sure.
and I got some notes here, something you guys are going to be seeing me reading over here on my notepad.
Need
The
my
trailer
glasses?
park. I borrowed this from the trailer park office. He don't know I borrowed it yet, but we'll take it back
We'll give
later
it back.
here at the old sunny 239 trailer park at the Relentless Hope podcast.
It's
But
my new house.
so Bonnie and Clyde stuck together through the thick and thin,
Mm-hmm.
even though we're not robbing banks, right?
Yeah. Mine is.
So
five.
here's a scripture that I came to. It says, "What God has joined together, let no man separate." Right?
Mhm.
And so we all know that scripture. We've heard it. You know, what God has joined, don't let. We've used it before when we got back together and people
Yeah.
were wanting us not to be together. We're
Sometimes I
what
feel like
God
people
joined?
use that as a cliche
Yeah.
rather than a true testimony. You know?
Yeah, if they're not really trying to change and live it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people, because I kind of did. You know, we were married, and my mom was like, "Maybe you guys need to figure something else out." And I was like, "What God joined, don't let no man separate." You said it. You read the Bible.
It was
But
convenient.
at that time, I was kind of using it. But you know, I think today the whole outlaw stigma and the whole outlaw thing has taken a change where it's not about breaking laws;
Mhm.
it's about breaking the norm of society,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like the normal society is, you know,
well, what's
is
normal?
yeah. I mean, one thing is like, let me get to here where I wrote this down. Breaking society's rules. Number one, like people nowadays in normal society has been like, your spouse shouldn't be your priority,
Mm.
right? What makes you happy?
No.
It's about your career.
Absolutely.
Why have kids?
It's all about me, 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 me.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
What makes me happy?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, how many times you hear in a relationship, like I've known people that I'm like, what happened, man? They're like, man, we just didn't make each other's happy.
Mhm.
You know, I thought I found the one and she wasn't the one. And, you know, you hear us say this, soulmates aren't found, they're made
Come
every
on.
day
That's right.
on a daily
That's
basis.
right.
We start over again. This
They don't just
morning,
appear like, thank you,
what
Jesus.
was that? An angel just appeared right here. Tim Jarrett. No, I'm just kidding. But
Man, no, 'cause we didn't think that about each other.
no,
For
and that's the
sure.
thing. Soulmates aren't found, they're made.
They're made. You
You
got to
know?
put some work in.
Yeah, definitely put some work in. And here's the thing too about like having an outlaw marriage. And when I keep saying that is, and I think we touched on this on one of them when we had Buff and Stacy on,
Mm-hmm.
is doing something different.
Absolutely.
People can't understand when you say, this is how we live.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
Yeah, because
You know
that's
what I
not
mean?
their norm,
Or
right?
when you tell somebody like saying, our marriage is in thing. And I seen Jimmy and Karen Evans, not to bring him up, but she was talking. She was like, "You're not perfect, but he's pretty close. But it
Yeah.
just didn't. He just didn't happen.
Yeah, it
Like,
wasn't an overnight.
to start to change your marriage, you have to go the way marriage was designed, and that's
Mhm.
the 4 laws:
Yeah.
priority,
Priority,
pursuit,
pursuit.
partnership, and purity. And that's what it is. So to be an outlaw, you have to go against the social norms and go, I don't live my life for me to be happy.
Right.
I serve God, and then I try to make
And
my
have a
wife
number one
happy.
human relationship.
That's right. My number one. I try to make my wife be as happy as I can be,
Right.
but I'm not your source of happiness.
Yeah, because being an outlaw isn't just about breaking laws. It's about breaking away from what the world says is normal.
That's right. Way to read those notes, Jahnna. So, getting on there, it's just a few things that, that they say, like doing some searching and some research.
Mhm.
A number thing they say is love should be always be easy. Like people think like, well,
I disagree.
if I found the right person, this should just all work out perfect.
Mm-mm.
And that's the furthest thing from truth in the world.
No.
When
Yeah,
you
no.
truly love somebody, you got to go through it sometimes.
Yeah.
And sometimes that love gets weathered and tattered and beat up.
Tested.
I mean, what are some of the things we've been through, babe? Share me
Which
one a time
things?
that our love was weathered.
Oh my gosh. All right. So a time when you went to jail, got arrested, and we weren't supposed to see each other, be in contact with each other, be around each other. Um, and yeah, I had black eyes, and it was bad, right? And then and I'm having to go to work and try to cover and say that the fence fell on me, and everybody knew better, you know.
Yeah.
And our kids were upset, and
Mm.
it was like, man, I
What are
gotta,
we doing here?
yeah, we gotta turn this around. You
Yeah.
know, I also got to show my kids that relationships aren't always easy, but they're definitely not easy when you add conflict, and it's self brought on.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a lot of that I'm not proud of, and I know you're not proud of.
Absolutely.
There was a
not.
lot of violence
Yeah.
in our marriage on both ends, but
I
at the
hate
same
that.
time,
Yeah.
that ain't making it right. Whether
No,
you
there's
hit
no
me or I hit
excuse.
you, or
Absolutely.
we try to stab each other or whatever.
No.
And there was some times that stuff.
Well, yeah, you had
was
drugs
bad.
and alcohol
Yeah,
in the
and
mix,
just
and no sleep,
no trust and no
stress,
sleep, and
what do you think's
it
gonna
was
happen?
crazy. And when you say that, it takes me back, and it makes me sad that
Mhm.
I'm not proud of none of that, and I know you're not either. And you know that no wonder people looking at us thought these
Too.
these two need to be totally away from each other.
Yeah, and
And at that time we did.
absolutely.
We needed to,
Absolutely.
it was a toxic place, and we had to get away from each other. Somebody would have died, I
Yeah.
believe, at that time.
Some things need to change.
And once we did get some time apart, and then started getting help and start going, it wasn't all perfect right then either.
No.
These
we had to put
shirts,
some work
yeah,
in.
these shirts don't stand anywhere. Redeemed outlaws. It don't say perfect outlaw,
Mm-mm.
because there's nothing I can do. I got to let God be God.
Keyword.
Yeah,
Redeemed.
keyword is redeemed. And the reason I want to make it such a big thing, and I keep saying outlaw marriage, because outlaw is like a movement of country
Mhm.
rap, and outlaw is a movement, but it's going against, marriage is on a decrease.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be an outlaw and push marriage where it's on the rise.
Absolutely.
And not just marriage, but healthy marriage, and marriage God's way.
Well, you put something in here, David, and it's super important. It says marriage today is treated as a contract, and on that thing that Brent, that he
Shout
that
out Brent Evans.
yeah, Brent Evans on that video.
You didn't
he
answer my
made.
text message, buddy. I'm going to make this a real. Brent Evans, you didn't answer my text message, pal.
Maybe he forgot.
I'm playing.
But on that, he was saying how, there were couples and they were saying how marriage is a contract, but God calls it a covenant. And that is such a big difference because you're not thinking of it as, hey, I just signed this paper.
Right.
We're now, together.
Yeah.
But there's so much more to that.
Yeah.
What are you looking at?
Nothing. I'm thinking of what I'm thinking of what I'm going to say. I'm letting you
Is
finish.
there somebody over there? Get another
Bob,
bomber?
what are you looking at me? No, I was thinking about.
It's like somebody behind me. Dude.
No, I'm thinking. My mind was thinking about what I'm going to say. But yeah, that's exactly right. There's a contract that you sign, and then there's a covenant.
Yeah, you're signing a contract with the state.
When you,
right?
yeah, but I mean, and even with the person, but a covenant is what you do underneath God, and that's for life.
That's right.
Covenant. Contract can be broken. You know what I
Facts.
mean? You break no covenant, right? You know what I mean? And that's what we choose to do. And I also put in here, marriage isn't about following society's rules. It's about breaking through them to follow how God designed marriage. And that's so true. Like, if you go by what the world says, it's like, you're not happy, leave.
Leave.
If your needs aren't getting met, leave. If you're working about your career, go work on your career. Kids bother your career, don't have kids. Don't get married. You know what I mean?
It's all self.
Yeah, it's all self, and that's society. And there's so many times, like, even us, like, people will be like, just leave. It ain't gonna work. Just leave. Even us. I mean, how many times you say, oh, this happened again, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Well,
I think mine came from just a fear, but it's true. Like today in society, it's just so much easier just to cut it, quit it, move on. But that's not true because you have all this damage. You have damage done to kids, I mean, I totally understand some circumstances where there's abuse and things aren't changing. But if there's two willing people willing to change and willing to do what they're supposed to do and put God in the middle and put God first, oh man, it's a total difference.
Anything can change, but it takes two possibles.
That's right.
Any relationship can change, but it takes two possibles willing to change and let God be God and them be them in the relationship. That's how it works. We got to let God be God and we got to be us.
Yeah.
And the only reason that our marriage worked is because we were both willing to work on it.
Absolutely.
Even after the failing, even after we got together and fell again, even after things happened and we got rocked again, and even we were willing to work on it.
Yeah, and not only that, but I mean, I had people that were super important to me and dear to me, like my dad and my brother tell me that we were way better together than we were apart. We brought out so much good in each other, when we put all the effort.
We're way better together when we were serving God and living right.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly it. So I listened to them because they were the people closest to me, the people that I revered the most in my life. So I listened to that, and I knew that was true. I just needed to get out of my own way.
Yeah.
Quit being selfish.
I remember my father-in-law, God rest his soul, he said, you guys are so good. Why are you doing this? Why are you going backwards? Why are you going backwards? Why did you let this happen?
Yeah, it broke
again?
his heart.
Yeah,
and I hated that.
And I remember going, I don't know, man, making excuses. And we were outlaws the way that it used to be at that time. Like, and now we're outlaws a different way,
Yeah.
And once you know what you want to accomplish, it makes it easy.
Come on.
So somebody said, man, why is this happening? Why are you guys doing this? Once you know what you want to accomplish, and I'll say this for the last year, I ain't from the time we got sober till now, I ain't hit everything perfect.
No.
There's been we've had problems.
We're flawed human beings.
We've had things happen, things that we could have left again if we wanted to, or things hey, I ain't signed up for this.
What are you talking about?
Well, I'm talking about like things like, oh man, we got to fight cases again, or we got to like. There's things I'm saying that you could.
Last year,
not in the last year, no. But I'm saying no. I'm talking about from the beginning till now.
Yes.
But I'm saying we could have been like, hey,
a lot of stressors.
I'm out here. Yeah,
right?
A lot of stressors, a lot of decisions, a lot of things happen. But I mean, in the last year, I've gotten focused more than ever,
Mm-hmm.
right? I've gotten
You
focused like
definitely have.
I've but the last 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, we were working towards that goal,
Yes.
but
We still just had a lot of things in there that were,
we were still healing, still
yeah.
not knowing how to react to things that happened, still not knowing the stressors going on, everything
Yes.
that was doing.
Court
Yeah,
cases.
all the
Yeah.
stuff that was going on. So I'm saying the last year, I
Yeah.
believe, I'm myself, in which I know you too, but I'm saying I've gotten focused
Mm-hmm.
of, okay, what does God really want us to do?
I agree.
What does he really, what is his plan for us?
Mm-hmm.
Right? What did we go through all of this
Yeah.
and then get all this right?
Right.
And then where are we going now?
Well, I
You know
think
what I
we were
mean?
both, it's important at that point of our lives. We're like, okay, God, what next? You gave us these kids. We fought these custody battles. We've, gone through all this. We've done all this. Okay, what's
Right.
next for us? And we
Yeah.
were willing and we were listening to what God had
Right.
for us. And then he does what he does. He
Yeah, he
lines
shows
everything
up.
up. He
Yeah.
opens the doors. We walk through them. Doesn't mean it's easy, but
No,
he
no.
definitely has given us
And
purpose and vision.
and I told Nick this morning while we were in there, it hurts, trauma.
Mhm.
Trauma is anything that happened emotionally that you couldn't process and handle correctly when it
Mm.
happened. That's what trauma is.
Right.
Everybody's got trauma.
Everybody.
Somebody's parents could pass away. Somebody could have been left. Somebody's parents could have been violent.
Yeah.
Somebody could have been molested. Somebody could have been whatever.
Somebody could have
Fill
been
in-
murdered.
Fill in the blank,
Yeah.
right? So anything could have happened, but he said, when did you? I said, I started doing it when I started letting God be God
Mm.
and working on it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And then once I had the focus, I know, okay, this is what happened. But that doesn't mean that, and I notice this happens when we get tired or when there's
Your resilience is
another
down.
stress going on that, the past, you start to think about this and
Mhm.
that, or you start arguing. I won't even say nothing gets brought up about what's happened in the past, but you start to argue like you did in the past about
Mhm.
stuff, and you
Mhm.
start, you know what I mean?
Well, you feel like you have to defend
But
something.
it's an everyday growth.
Absolutely.
Like it's like there's no. I'd love to say like, oh, I wake up every day in Jesus. Now, obviously, I don't do what I used to
What,
do.
you don't wake up with feathered hair and flip flops
No,
every day?
not no more. I don't always wake up and be like, oh, this doesn't bother me at all, or oh,
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not battling with depression, or oh, I'm not worried about this, or oh,
No, but there's something that you always say, David, and it's so true. You can't, if you think a thought, you've already thought it,
Mhm.
right? You can't change that, but you can
you can
replace
replace
it.
it.
So you can change that thought as far as, okay, yeah, I thought this, but then I'm going to rethink this
Yeah.
and think a different way,
Mm.
because the way I used to think got me this, and
Mhm.
I don't want that anymore. I
Right.
want a different reaction to it.
It's kind of like what I say. Yeah, what you're saying is you can't change your thought. You can only replace it with
Yeah.
another thought,
Right.
right? And so that goes for anything.
Anything.
That goes depression, money, sex,
Yeah.
drugs, rock and roll. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. But
and
whatever.
not only that, but the same behavior is going to give you the same outcome.
Well, yeah.
So if you don't change that way of thinking as far as replacing it and having a different kind of thought, yeah, I mean, you always get your stinking thinking sometimes, but then it's like, no, that's not how this is going to go.
No, and I think another thing that we've added to make our marriage an outlaw marriage, and getting ready to go to Nick's thing today, and while
Mhm.
you were getting ready, I was sitting out there, and this morning too, I was laying there, and I wake up early, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, and you're still snoring, and then you sound so sexy when you're snoring. It's funny, she's turned into me when it comes to snoring and sleeping. It's crazy.
I know, I never snored
Yeah,
before.
well, you always did. You just didn't know you did. But I'm like, who the heck's this grown man snoring next to me? Like, hey, buddy, can you move over? It's a little close in here. Where's my wife? No,
Jahnna.
but I'm laying there and I'm going because I knew, I didn't know exactly what he was going to ask me,
Yeah.
but he had sent a disclaimer to me. In other words, he said, "This ain't a joke, David."
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I love you, Nick. But, sometimes one of my biggest safety
Your
mechanisms
coping
or
mechanism.
coping mechanisms is making jokes.
Yes.
And I had a counselor at a drug treatment facility who pegged me the first day. He's like, "It's not all funny.
Mm.
You need to let the mask down and deal with it." I go, "What are you talking about, man? I'm always in a
You
good
got to
mood."
make yourself
But
vulnerable.
but me and Nick like to joke a lot, and we
Yeah,
talked
you
about
do.
that. But he let me know it was a testimony. It's gonna be a little more serious
Yeah.
and whatever. So I was laying there. I was going over, my life and my childhood, and then I was going over our relationship,
Mhm.
and then you know everybody's like, "Oh man, this and this," and answer this question and how long ago. But really, I started going. The last year is really when I've been focused
Mm.
what I really want to do.
Mhm.
And what I want to do is take the last 15 years that we've
Mhm.
been in each other's lives
Yeah.
and all of the bad, the hurt, the pain, the struggle, the losing stuff, the fighting
Yeah.
stuff, the infidelities, the drugs, the kids, the divorce papers,
Yeah.
the
The
hurricanes,
whole
the
kit and caboodle.
everything, and say, I struggle with imposter syndrome. We all know that.
Mhm.
And I got into it. I want to take that all and help somebody,
Absolutely.
and sometimes we make this thing like, yeah, but I have to go to Bible college for X amount of years. I have to be serving God.
Mm-mm.
On the road to Damascus, after Saul, Paul,
All
Saul
turned to
turned to
Paul.
Paul, Saul turned to Paul. It says immediately he shared,
Mm.
right? When his eyes, once he was unblinded, immediately
Yeah.
he shared. And I think sometimes there's no better time when you're coming out of stuff and you're really getting a hold of it to tell Jesus. Because if not, you get comfortable and you say whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I got to go and say, when we were at the XO Marriage, conference, which was amazing, you guys heard us talk about it. Sitting in that room, great. We got to meet Jimmy, and we all know that. But I was still struggling,
Mm.
and even after the fact, and even though in the last couple 2-3 weeks, for some reason,
Mhm.
I've been going, what was we even doing? We didn't even belong. I don't even, you guys don't even belong in there. Like,
Yeah.
you guys don't even belong. Who are you? Like, I'm struggling in my mind saying,
Yeah.
who do you even think that you are to even be doing this?
Right.
And that's a lie from the devil. If right
Absolutely.
now you're going through something, or you going through something, or you're coming out of something, God can use your story right where you're at right now to
Mhm.
see people's lives change. You don't have to get approval from nobody. I mean, you don't need to be, in the middle of being drunk trying to tell people about Jesus
No.
while you're, hey, buddy, Jesus will save you. But somebody might listen. But I'm saying, you don't have to get somebody's approval to pick up and start telling people about Jesus. You know what I mean? And
Well, there doesn't have to be a title. You know what
yeah,
I mean? There doesn't have to be some little name plaque with,
I'd like a name plaque.
you know,
Tim, make me a name plaque. Put me on the picture for God's sakes.
my God. It's like what you always say, you have an answer to something. And if you
Yeah.
don't share it,
Yeah.
then it's just some valuable information that you're keeping to yourself. It's stingy,
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
God, it's like you always say, we came out of the fire, we got rescued so that we can go back in and rescue other people.
That's so true. And so here's some things that I kind of pinned down. You got to choose your spouse over the world to be in an outlaw marriage. Here's 4 things. The number one thing is you got to put God first,
Mhm.
pray together,
Mm.
then be the priority and make that foundation. That's number 1.
Mhm.
Number 2, you got to choose your spouse over the world. Be intentional
Mm.
about keeping your marriage a
My
priority.
favorite word.
Be intentional. So you got to make them priority, and then
Mhm.
you got to be intentional about making them. Because how many things does the world throw in? Kids' sports.
Oh, distractions.
Kids can be one of the
distractions.
biggest distractions there is.
Who are you
They're,
telling?
they're a blessing,
Yeah.
but if everything that is a distraction is something not necessarily bad, but misprioritized, right?
Mhm.
Phone, good thing.
Mhm.
Internet, great thing. Misprioritized, it can cause a lot of problems.
Right.
Kids, blessings sometimes. I love them, my little blessings. No, but I love them. But misprioritized and put over everything,
Yeah.
they can be a problem.
Yeah.
Work, so on, friends,
Yes.
so on, relationships. We can go all the way down the road.
Right.
So you have to be intentional
Mm.
about making it priority.
Absolutely.
And something Greg Jackson said to me, and I love you, Greg. Me and Greg's butted heads over the years. A lot of people know, but we always got this relationship that
You have a common goal.
we got a common goal, and that's to see people get changed and see people saved. But
Mhm.
he's like, I gotta say this to you, brother. You are always trying to better your marriage and always trying to be a better person, and that's because I've failed so many times over the years. So now,
You're not failing no
once you
more.
know the focus, it becomes easy.
Yeah.
you know? So up until we said, we're going to do a podcast about marriage. We
Mhm.
already knew what we was, and we were doing music, and we
Yeah.
were doing hope, and we were doing this. But
And we tried it out during COVID.
yeah, oh yeah, oh
But it
yeah.
was still fun to be
Yeah, it
like,
was still fun. But then, we came back to pure hell in
yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
But but now our priority is to take all these past mistakes,
Mhm.
these past failures,
Mm.
and the good that we did out of it, how we
Mhm.
survived, and the good points and the bad, and help people. And we're
And
being intentional about it.
not only to help people, but it's who changed our life,
Mm,
right? Who
Jesus.
who changed our life, and he is the focal point. So now it's just sharing that with people. That, and what do we always say? Marriage works 100% of the time
When you
if
do it
you do
God's
it
way.
God's way.
Right.
So
Jimmy
important.
Evans. Marriage works 100% of the times when you do it God's way.
That's right.
EXO and them, they get a lot of love on here because
Yeah.
that's the curriculum, to call it,
Mm-hmm.
that we live by
Yes.
and that we do.
Yeah.
It
Changed our
is.
lives.
But this is kind of what I came up with, the outlaw marriage. And there's something more coming up about the outlaw marriage. We can't say it yet.
Every time you say that, I think of that song.
Yeah, we got a song called
Outlaw.
Outlaw, but it's not called Outlaw Marriage.
Mhm.
It's a different thing. But there's something big about Outlaw Marriage going to be happening very soon, but we can't share yet. But anyway, number one, put God first and make it a
Mm.
priority to build a foundation. Choose your spouse over the word. Be intentional. Number three, fight for each other, not against each other.
Mm.
Marriage is a team sport, not a competition. And this is something, sometimes you're fighting for the same thing, but you're fighting each other to get to it. That's something we
Yeah.
did, and I never understood it. I'm like, what? We're trying to do the same thing. Why are you arguing with me? You're like, well, yeah, idiot. I'm trying to do the same thing. And I think a lot of my problem is listening. I think
Mhm.
I got it figured out. Then I even told Nick when we were on the stand, I said, all right, bro, I'm not going to try to talk that much because I'm going to try to take over. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to just fall back.
And in a relationship, I was like, well, I'm the man. I know what's going on here. You need to listen. And a lot of times you're trying to do the same thing. So fight for each other, not against each other.
Mhm.
And here's number 4, be unapologetic about your commitment.
Mm.
Society can roll its eyes all at once. We're in this for life.
Mm.
Be unapologetic about your commitment. I think a lot of times people they apologize about putting their marriage first. I'm sorry, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I gotta go home and make dinner.
Yeah.
No, you'd be like, hey, I gotta go home and make dinner.
gots to go.
Or hey, I'm sorry, my wife don't like when I go to Hooters.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, my wife don't. I'm like, I mean, I told Nick this today. I'm like, I'm not saying our marriage is better than anybody else's. People can be married 30 years and not have a good marriage.
Mhm.
Okay. People can be married 4 years and have a great marriage.
Mhm.
It all depends if they're practicing those laws
Right.
that marriage was founded on or not. And our marriage didn't start getting better, not only when I knew him, because I've read Marriage on the Rock
Mhm.
3 different times.
Yes.
And I would start to implement this.
Implement them.
And then I would let David get over it and say, well, yeah, but I'm doing this. At least I'm not out running around doing this. I could be this guy. At least I'm doing this. Don't matter if I'm talking to you this way or I'm not fulfilling my needs as the family man leading the way in whatever way it was.
Right.
So I think now, and again, this has been growing 4, 3, 2, 1, is I'm unapologetic
Mhm.
about, like, hey man, we're doing this. I'm like, yeah, man, if my wife, we kind of come together.
Yeah.
Hey,
I feel like most people know that now.
Well, now we're
feel
a
like it's
brand.
very,
We're a
yeah,
brand.
it's
David
very
and Jahnna,
obvious.
Relentless Hope.
I mean, we really don't do very much separately, you know?
I mean, you'll go get your nails done, and I believe now, that Nevaeh's getting older. Like, I'm not gonna be going to no prom pictures and all that kind of stuff.
I will.
Yeah, but you will, and going to take her to do that. And Adriana having the baby, there's going to be stuff you're going to do.
Yeah.
Normal
Well, yeah.
women stuff. But I'm saying, as a whole, I like being where you are.
Mm-hmm.
I like being where John is. You going to Walmart?
Yeah, you're
Cool.
my best
I
friend.
want to be at Walmart.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to go here?
Yeah.
And I'll even say, and I heard Mark Driscoll saying this to Grace Driscoll, another people who we listen to a lot of their stuff and their marriage stuff too. is he's like, I like being where Grace is.
Mm-hmm.
And Grace might not like being where I'm as much, but and sometimes I'm more like, I'm going to the store, you want to go? And you're like, well, I'm tired. I'm like, come on, please ride with me. I don't want so I just like being around you. I don't need nobody. I'm not saying I don't have friends and I don't need people, but you're my best friend.
Right.
And I think, you know, have you ever seen like a couple who's in an RV and they travel and they're together and they're best friends and
Yeah.
their whole life they couldn't wait to do that? That's how I want to be. I want to take our marriage to get better, to get better, to get better, to get better, and be intentional and unapologetic.
Well, somebody once told us, I can't remember his name, Virgil or something. It's in Tennessee.
Who the heck
But
is Virgil?
he said that we could only get better. You know? Am I wrong on the name? It was something.
I can't remember his name either, but it was Virgil.
We're just going to call him Virgil. Verge.
Yeah,
Verge
he said you can only get better.
Yeah, and he meant everything in general about us, you know, from our music so that hit a chord with me.
Yeah.
And I remember that. So I'm like, everything I do, it may not be perfect right now, but if I wanted to get better, I just keep putting the work in.
Yeah.
Because it can only get better.
Well,
it's not going to get worse.
And it's true. Authenticity is something you can't fake.
Shout out to
Virgil.
Verge.
Virgil. Give Virgil some love over there on them buttons, Virgil. We just did a fart for Virgil. Sorry, Virgil. We got gas over here. We got that Beano.
My bad, Verge.
I don't even know who that Virgil is. I wish I would have been there, but I know who you're talking about. But it was.
He was some famous guy.
He's famous too. We're sorry, Virgil.
I like Virgil. Leave it.
I do remember that talk though. He said you guys can only get better because you're
authenticity.
Yeah, that stuff
is
100%
real.
authentic. But so that's it. I'm gonna hit it again. Here's the one thing. This is what I came up with on the Outlaw Marriage: is to put God first. Pray. Faith makes the foundation, right? To be the priority. Choose your spouse over the world. Be intentional. Keeping marriage priority. Fight for each other, not against each other. Being unapologetic about your commitment. And I think if people, I used to be like when somebody would ask me, I'm proud now, buddy. I wear sobriety like a superpower.
Yeah.
I like, let me take a drug test, pull 6 hairs.
Oh, come on.
I want a PPP. I don't drink 3 clean calls, 4 good calls, 50%. Because you know what my nephew Matt says, greedy, greedy, greedy.
He's so crazy.
My nephew Matthew, I love you, Matthew Anderson.
Lay off the drugs, bro.
I did see all your comments, and I love you, son. I'm praying for you.
But I will smack you in the name of Jesus.
But be careful what you're saying about everybody. But anyway, clean calls. Sorry, I forgot about that. But you've got to. I think we apologize too much because I remember like sobriety. I would be like. People be like, would you want a beer? And I'd be like, nah, man, I still got another one.
Well, it was uncomfortable for us.
But instead of going, nah, man, I don't drink. Why would I be unapologetic?
Because it was our frame
sober?
of mind at that time. At that time, we were embarrassed because we could not control ourselves. We knew that we couldn't have a drink. And I think it was, everything was still fresh. Well, I'm speaking for me.
Yeah, you're speaking for that another time.
But now
I'm talking about even like last year, somebody'd be like, hey, you want a beer? And I'm like, I don't want to tell them I don't want to sound like I'm weak and I can't drink a beer. But now I'm like, no, why? Well, why not? Well, why?
Yeah.
Why would it? Or like people will go, well, hey man, you want to go here and eat? I'm like, nah, I wouldn't go to eat lunch there. Well, why? Why not? Well, why?
Well, why?
Excuse me. Why would I want to go there and eat? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm unapologetic about the safety system that's around our marriage. I'm unapologetic about putting my marriage before any other relationship. Right. I'm unapologetic about putting a work meeting before my meeting with you and knowing what's going on. I don't, hey man, you need to put systems into place. Well, I need to make sure my wife knows what's going on systems. Too. But I'm just saying, like people, I've seen a lot of business people that their communication, and I'm not saying we've got it all figured out, but there's some things that we've been intentional about that it works for us, and we've seen some things grow.
And you know what helps is that everything's linked together for us. Yeah. So if we're getting business emails, if I miss it for some reason, you catch it,
or vice versa.
Or vice versa, you know, or everybody that contacts us,
it really does. It's like, who cares? Like, I mean, like who I like it that way.
It works.
I mean, sometimes I'll get annoyed if like Sheen or something, or like a bunch of silly emails, and vice versa about whatever. But or the Dodo or something like that.
I love the Dodo.
Yeah, the Dodo on YouTube. But we're intentional about how we keep the safety, and we're unapologetic. I'm an outlaw. I don't apologize, right? Outlaw marriage, outlaw, really ain't that guy. But really, try something different today. Go against the norm.
Mm.
Put your phone down and look in your mate's eyes and say,
Face to face.
"Well,
Quit kissing the microphone, you freak show.
there's a bunch of drunks in here. Who knows who was kissing the daggone dog?"
What's this dog
Diana knows what I'm talking about.
What in the hell?
I can't help it, man. I want to really make a lot of jokes, but I got to be on good behavior.
You got to be good, dude.
But anyway, this is why a lot of times we don't go through notes. It's hard to read notes and I like open dialogue and real, but the outlaw marriage is what we live by.
Yeah.
We're unapologetic. We're intentional. That sums it up right there.
Intentional.
So if you're out there and you're putting your marriage first, be unapologetic about it. You don't have to explain to somebody why you don't go to Hooters and eat. Mm-hmm. You don't have to explain to somebody why you don't accept a friend request. You don't have to explain to somebody why you won't go out to lunch with the opposite sex by yourself. Be unapologetic. Do whatever it takes to make your marriage work. And it works 100% of the time if you do it God's way. Be an outlaw.
Right.
You got anything to say?
I'll just put your marriage first, you know?
That's right. Well, I got something to say. What about these Flyfit t-shirts right here? Hey, you know why? I'm going to give Flyfit's one of our best sponsors. When all of a sudden we get some and they got extra t-shirts in there.
Oh,
they're sending us all kinds of stuff. They really are the most comfortable. Tell me that t-shirt's not comfortable.
Oh, no, it's soft.
There's nobody that haven't got this
nice around
t-shirt
your little muscles.
that don't love it. And they make everybody look good. If you're a bigger feller like myself,
you got muscles.
it makes you look good if you're tightening up after the painting out there, after the painting that they made of me on the wall at 239. If anybody wants to see a painting of me minus the wannabe gangster painting, if anybody
wrap this up.
If you guys want to see a painting, come look through the windows 239. You'll see me in full form, baby. Oh yeah.
Jesus,
also, I'm sorry, man. I'm having fun. Can I have fun on the podcast?
Always.
What about these right here? Nevin Eyewear. D Money. Did you see these? Fire, right? What do you think about them? You like them?
Still got to get Tim a pair.
Yeah, well, Tim should have been nicer to me this week.
Tim should have put
and
you
I'd
in
have
the
got him 3 pair. I love Tim Jarrett. That's my boy.
All right, so summing it up.
Nevin Eyewear. You see some back there? Bob's got some on. My beautiful wife. Get a shot in there on them Nevins. Looking good, looking hot. She's a redeemed angel. Nevin Eyewear, Flyfit tees, clean cause.
Yeah.
239 Studio. Your story starts here. We got a little wild, but being intentional, and unapologetic, and put Jesus first.
That's right. Here's my headsets.
We're out.